guys, and welcome back to my channel. So before I begin today, let me just start with the basics. If you like this video, thumbs up, and if you like my channel, please subscribe. Now, I would like to start this video with a little bit of a story. So I started to watch Lydia Elise Millen's vlog about a few weeks ago, and I saw all of her stuff about her wedding and her indecisions and how she was feeling, and I could really relate to it because I went through very similar feelings during my wedding. And so I thought, I'm gonna write her a letter because I thought I might have a few bits of good advice. My main drive behind wanting to share a little bit of my advice was the fact that my wedding was not so perfect. It definitely was not my dream wedding, and when I look back on it, obviously Will and I are happy and we, love each other. We made great memories, but we definitely always wish we did it a little bit differently. That prompted me to want to write a letter because I felt like she was just going through the struggles that I went through as a bride. And she was so lovely. She ended up responding back to me, which honestly is quite kind. I know some bloggers with like 10 million followers and things like that, and they pretty much don't even acknowledge their followers or the fact that they exist, even though, that's what gets them paid. That sounds sort of cheap and weird and kind of gross, but having a bigger following means you can ask more from brands and things like that. So I mean, that's just the reality of the situation. But anyway, my point is that I definitely know bloggers and influencers who really don't care about people who watch their videos or don't care about people who follow them on Instagram. And I just thought it was really sweet because it seemed like she really did care. So she wrote me a little note saying, I just sat down with a cup of tea and read your amazing letter. I'm going to keep your advice with me on my day as I know I'm going to need those things. Best of luck moving to the UK. It's not New York City, but I do love it here. Monkey over mouth emoji. Hope to bump into you for that Prosecco, because I asked her if she wanted to do some Prosecco or tea. P.S. Your handwriting looks just like mine. Anyway, it was quick and simple, but I just really thought it was a lovely little acknowledgement. Because I feel like I did my wedding day sort of all wrong, I now have a perspective on how I would do it all right. I can't remember what I wrote to Lydia in her letter, but I can kind of remember some of the gists of it. Either way, this video is going to be a little bit different than some of the little bits that I wrote to her, but it will include the ones that I do remember. I think I wrote about 7 things, but I just figured I would talk about each part of the wedding step by step. First things first, your venue. You definitely want to choose something that feels like you and your spouse. It should feel like a representation of who you both are as a couple. And it is going to be what everyone else walks into. So if you're trying to display your love story to everybody else, it's going to be the first thing that everyone really sees. I'm pretty extravagant with the way that I see weddings. I mean, we ended up getting married in the backyard at Will's parents' house, which was very lovely, but I probably would have preferred to get married in a giant church and then do a huge reception on the Amalfi Coast, and that's sort of our big dream wedding. Unfortunately, it didn't happen that way. It basically should feel like you guys. Like, if you are big partiers, you love to have a great time, you should rent a place that's going to allow you to dance until the early hours. If you really care about it just feeling absolutely romantic, maybe you should look into castles. If it feels like I don't want to spend a lot of money on my wedding day, maybe look into City Hall and like a restaurant or a back patio of a friend's that you could decorate and hang out in. It shouldn't feel like you have to do something. So if I'm talking about a venue, I obviously have to talk about food, because obviously that is a big part of the experience of your wedding, especially for your guests. As bride and groom, you don't really eat a lot. So if you are a bride or a groom watching this, I would say make sure you eat beforehand. Make sure you pack snacks for yourselves, literally like a granola bar in your clutch, anything. Make sure you have a big breakfast, because you really don't get time to eat during your wedding, because you're talking to so many people and you're expected to be on the dance floor and be doing pictures and this and that, and everybody wants time with the bride and groom. So just make sure that you eat enough, make sure that you have snacks with you, even if you're just like running to the bathroom and like stuffing your granola bars in your face. Just make sure, especially if you have an open bar. A lot of venues don't have great food, and a lot of venues require you to use their catering services. If it was me, I wouldn't use a venue that required me to use their catering, just because you only get a limited amount of option, and you don't know how great the quality of the food is. And if the quality isn't great, you can't really do anything about it because you've already booked your venue. I would definitely choose a venue that lets me bring in outside catering. And I know it seems like a lot more pieces versus like, okay, got the venue and check off 4 things at one time. But it will matter to you, and that's the truth. People still talk about the food from our wedding. Because we got married in the backyard, obviously we could choose any kind of catering we wanted. We got a personal chef who had an assistant who was able to cook a meal for 85 people, and she was amazing. Every single thing. And oh, not to mention that the day of our wedding was the day that the oven decided to break. Yep, the oven. So thankfully she had brought a backup oven, like a little mini traveling oven, so she could heat and cook everything. Like she could have 2 stoves going on at one time, and it ended up saving our entire wedding. Or we were gonna have to start knocking on neighbors' doors and be like, can she please just get in the kitchen, but thank God for that. Anyway, my point is that guests will remember the food, and I just went to a wedding and the food was fine, nothing remarkable. But then about 6 months ago, we went to a different wedding and the food was absolutely fantastic. They had gone with a similar route of using a personal chef because it actually was much cheaper than using a caterer. And I think for about 85 people, we paid $1,000 or $1,500, and we ate salmon and chicken and pastas and risotto and 3 different appetizers. Like, it was amazing. But our friends had done a similar thing. They had decided, and they had 200 people at their wedding, and the food was just so good. That is a big thing. I mean, it is something that you want your guests to walk away with. While we're talking about food, let's talk about alcohol. I think it's nice to have an open bar. It is expensive, but I do think it's nice. So we had whiskey, tequila, vodka. Then we had wine and champagne. Actually, we did Prosecco everywhere. But the real money saver was in doing a signature cocktail, actually. We did a blueberry mojito with a lavender lemonade martini. And it really was just like big tubs, and guests could go up and fill up their own jars. Actually, glasses. It saved us a ton of money, and because the drinks were actually really strong, we ended up saving a ton of money. No one even touched the spirits because they liked the signature drink so much. And then obviously during dinner, we drank a lot of wine and Prosecco. But I would say that is a huge money saver. So if you don't want to do an open bar, maybe consider doing a signature drink and having wine at the tables. A bit about your venue. Stop fussing. No one cares about whether or not your plates have gold rim or little fleur-de-lis or whatever. No one is going to notice. I promise you. They will see your flowers and they will admire how beautiful they are. They will see your venue and they will admire how beautiful that is. But no one gives a, pardon my language, shit about what like cutlery you choose. They really don't. No one's looking. So stop obsessing. Don't micromanage it. Just let it be. Whatever's available. If at last minute they suddenly don't have the plates you chose, oh well, trust me, oh well, it does not matter. I promise you, you will not look back on your wedding and think, oh damn, I didn't go with those gold rimmed plates. No one cares. Literally no one. No one at all. Just let it go. Stop yelling about it. Just let it go. Let's all breathe. It's a wedding. It's gonna be fun. Great. Now that we've gotten that out of the way. People will care about your flowers, and I don't mean like, oh, why did she use spray roses? Could she not use like wild African roses? She couldn't afford it. No, people don't care. But they will admire how pretty your flowers look. They will admire the color scheme. And again, like I said, it's your venue. It's what represents you as a couple. And they're gonna admire that. Friends who live out in the country and they had a barn wedding, so they did sunflowers. And it was exactly right for them. You know, I have a friend who just got married who's super traditional, super classic. She did all white roses and her whole venue was just white, and it was exactly right for her. But honestly, don't obsess about the flowers. The only person who should be obsessing about your flowers is your florist. They are the only person who should be worrying. Your flowers will be there. They will be lovely. They may not be perfect. In fact, I guarantee you something will go wrong on your wedding day. Doesn't matter. Maybe your aunt is showing way too much cleavage, or the boutonnieres don't arrive, or they mess up your first dance and accidentally play the Hokey Pokey when it was supposed to be All of Me by John Legend. It's gonna go wrong. And people will understand, and you're gonna love it after the fact. I literally fell during our recessional. We said our vows, we kissed, we turned to walk, and I was wearing Dolce & Gabbana heels. They were beautiful, I loved them, but they had these giant bows on them, and the heel of one of my shoes got caught in the bow, and I went face first to the ground. And everybody laughed so hard, because if you know me, that is not uncommon. That is a Rachel move. Long story short, it's something that my husband and I think is absolutely hilarious. We love it. We think it's so funny. Just accept that something's gonna go wrong and breathe through it, and know that this is just the way the universe works. If you wanna have the happiest day of your life, at least one thing needs to happen. Just hope that it's not a thing major. That's all I gotta say. And I'm sorry if that seems a little bit depressing. Stop freaking out over your invitations. Just make them pretty. That's all. Just make them pretty. No big fuss. No one's gonna save your invitation. I'm sorry. Like, your parents will, your close family members will, but most of your friends and family, they've been invited to enough weddings that they don't need to save every invitation. So they're gonna, you know, enjoy it and love it, but it's not gonna be hanging on the bridesmaids and bridesmaids dresses. You can't make everyone happy. That's all I'm gonna say. So choose the dress that you love, or the dresses. I am a huge fan of mix and match. I told my girls just something in blush or nude, and I knew I was going to use their accessories and their makeup to tie them together, as well as the flowers, and I just said blush or nude, and we mixed and matched them. I loved it, and they all got to wear a dress that they felt comfortable in. So do your thing. Do them a favor. Don't make it too expensive, because weddings are really expensive for bridesmaids. The other thing is that I know it's so hard to choose bridesmaids at times, because you have a lot of friends and you love a lot of people, but it is your day, and I will say that one of my best friends just got married, but I was living in LA for a long period of time, and I was going to be living in LA during her entire planning process. So I wasn't going to be able to be at a lot of the big celebrations or moments. I wasn't able to be there when she picked her wedding dress. I wasn't there for her bridal shower. I just couldn't make it across for every single event. And she needed a lot more help than I knew I could give her. And we both sort of knew that, and we both said, okay, you know, we still love each other. She was my maid of honor. But I know what you need and what I can provide. And that was that. But what I will say is one of the most special memories of my wedding was getting ready with my friends. So even if someone isn't your bridesmaid, but a very close friend, feel free to say, hey, you know what? The girls and I are getting ready in the suite. They're getting their hair and makeup done. Unfortunately, I can't pay to have everybody get their hair and makeup done, but you are important to me. You are a close friend. I would love to have you there while I get ready. And I would love to have you there as I put on my wedding dress. I think that's really special. I think it's really sweet. I think it's really kind. I think it's a way to be inclusive. It makes memories, especially the tiny ones that your bridesmaids get to be a part of and share in. My point is there are multiple ways to include friends that don't include having them as bridesmaids. And also where you can spare people's feelings. My biggest regret of our wedding was that I didn't hire specifically a wedding photographer, just a run-of-the-mill photographer who I've worked with before. And I didn't get a lot of wedding photos, like staged portraits and things like that. And I think there was like a lot of potential for us to have some really beautiful photos, but they just didn't happen. And I sort of felt really let down by the photos we did have. We didn't have a videographer. Pretty much nothing was on tape. And I think at this point, it's really important because you're gonna want those memories and you're gonna wanna be able to look back on that day and see your photos. You're gonna wanna show your children. And let's say if you're gonna spend a chunk of money, spend it on having high quality photos with someone who knows how to stage perfect photos, who knows what you're looking for, who knows what kind of style of photo you want, whether you're looking for a dreamy romantic fantasy or if you're looking for more classic portraits, or if you're looking for just, you know, really fun party shots. You want to be clear on what it is you want, and you want to have a photographer who knows what to do. And honestly, you're going to want a videographer who knows what you want, whether it's, you know, drone work, or if it's just really great videos of you walking down the aisle of your vows, or if it's of the party, or, you know, like whatever it is, no matter how high tech or low tech it is, you want a videographer who knows what you want. So lastly, I'm going to say the dress. It's a huge one. It's so confusing. I feel like there are so many beautiful gowns in the world. There's so many beautiful dresses. It's so easy to get confused or caught up. And I think we all have sort of a story in our mind of what we think our dress should be. And truthfully, it should be whatever one you fall in love with. I made the mistake of being so tied to a certain image in my head. There's a very classic lace up top, you know, kind of a silk satin that with a ruching in the middle that was it was very Grace Kelly. And I was so tied to that, thinking that that's what I wanted my entire life. It was classic and romantic. And I tried on a dress at Bergdorf Goodman that was the opposite of anything I ever thought I wanted. It was crisscross satin at the top, tight on the body, corseted at the top, fit and flare, with a detachable train that was just monstrous. So it would just have been huge when I walked down the aisle, but then really sexy on the dance floor. And I fell in love. I had never felt so beautiful. In fact, the day that I was trying it on, Manolo Blahnik was in the store, and he came up to me and said that I was the most beautiful bride. Yeah, that happened. Yeah. I loved that dress. I still love that dress. Whenever I look back on photos of me trying on this gown, I loved it so much. So I insisted on getting my dress custom made the way I thought I wanted it, and it came, and I just didn't feel like myself at all. I felt like I was this boring, I don't know, it wasn't me. And granted, like, I look back on photos, I think I look beautiful in it, but it wasn't me. So my biggest thing about the dress is go with the one that really captures your heart, because I thought, if I don't do this traditional thing that I had in my head since I was a little kid, I am going to be so disappointed. But now, 5 years later, I look back on it and I think, oh my God, why didn't I go for that dress? That was the dream. It was so beautiful. It made me feel so special. And you know, I look back and I realize, like, that's what I should have done. I guess that's sort of my biggest advice as far as the dress. Like, don't listen to your mom, don't listen to your aunts, don't listen to your friends. Go with whatever one captures you. Also, make sure you have the people close to you when you try on your dress. I brought 2 of my best friends, but my mom wasn't there, my sisters weren't there, so that was a part of the experience that I felt like I cheated myself out of, because I was just so like, let's streamline this experience, let's just get things over with, let's just go, 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 go. Really, the dress is so important. But remember, do not break your bank. You will wear this dress once, and then you will never see it. I mean, you'll see it, but like in a box in your closet, like, and then you'll probably pull it out for your daughter one day, and that's sort of where it ends. Mine literally, like, I can see it right now hanging in the closet, and I'm thinking, oh God, I haven't boxed it up. I have to take it to the dry cleaner and do that. I can't believe it's been all these years. Well, I did move to LA for 3 years. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I literally haven't even like peeked open the garment bag to look at my dress. Just don't go crazy. Find something you love, but don't break the bank. Like, obviously, if you are a billionaire, go for the dress of your dreams, I suppose. Otherwise, just remember that it really is just a dress. Just be comfortable, be happy, be your very best self. You know, styling yourself for that day. Be comfortable. If you're someone who wears your hair down, wear your hair down. If you're someone who loves your hair up, wear your hair up. I wore my hair up and I'm like, I literally never wear my hair up. What was I thinking? Like, that was part of the reason why I so did not feel like myself. Like, if you're not in for like glitz and glam, if that's not your style, then don't wear like a tiara. Don't wear like giant big diamond earrings. Wear small diamond studs. Like, you know, you don't have to be this like picture perfect bride that like everyone imagined you to be. Even if someone gives you a lovely gift, it doesn't mean you have to wear it. Say thank you for the gift. Say that you already have your accessories sorted. You don't have to accommodate everybody at your wedding. It is your wedding. And I would say that is a really, really big one. I really regret that I didn't wear my hair down. If you're not someone who wears a lot of makeup, keep it light, keep it simple, go for something glowy, go for something really pretty. You know, if you're someone who does wear a lot of makeup, keep the glam on, you know, get the fake eyelashes, do the smoky eye, but you really do want to feel like yourself. You don't want to feel like this idealized version, dream of yourself that you thought that you were going to be on your wedding day. You're going to look back and you're not going to be happy. I think that's the most important bit, is just really be yourself. This is a day that is about you. Just go for it. Well, it's actually about both of you. And this is my last tip. Between your ceremony and your reception, try to take 15 to 30 minutes to just be alone and be like, oh my God, we're married. And kiss each other and make out and be groups, because this is literally the only chance you will for the rest of the night. I guarantee you that by the time that the wedding is over, you're going to be so tired that you're going to be like, sex? Well, we can do it in the morning. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, the majority of people who I've talked to and was like, how was the wedding night? They were like, oh my God, we were so tired. Like, we just passed out. And I think that's probably pretty common, because you spend your whole day like getting ready, being surrounded by people, and then like, okay, going down the aisle, and like, you know, that's nerve-wracking in itself. I was already married when I was walking down the aisle, and I was like so nervous about it. I was like, you can't go anywhere, like the documents are already signed. I don't know what I'm freaking out about. But it was like the idea of people looking at me, I don't know. And it's gonna be such a joyous moment. Like, I remember I was so nervous. I turned the corner and I saw all my friends and family, and I was like, oh, this is so beautiful. And I looked at every single one of them, and then I looked at Will, and I was like, thank God my dad was holding on to me, because I would have bolted down that aisle because I was so excited to see him at the end of it. And that's just like such an indescribable feeling. And like, I'm really excited for anyone who's watching this video and either experienced that or is going to experience that. But yeah, I mean, just make sure you take that time to be able to enjoy like a little bit of the wedding day just for the two of you. You will feel so happy that you did it. I'm so sorry guys, my camera battery had died during the last bit of this video, so I just wanted to come back on and wrap up. It's the next morning, but I just wanted to wrap this video up and say thank you for watching. If you have any more questions, or you just need an objective outside point of view on your wedding, or you know, little bits that you're trying to figure out, feel free to comment below, message me, email me. I'm always here and I'm happy to answer. I definitely know what it's like to struggle through and try to make all the decisions without bankrupting yourself and keeping everybody slightly pleased, or like a lower level of pissed. So with that, I just want to say have a great day and thank you for watching. I will see you next time.